I'm Gabby Austen-Browne. I'm founder of a consultancy and training organisation called Diversity Alliance, which is all about helping the event industry, so the people within it, and also live events themselves to be more representative, inclusive and accessible for everyone. I am wearing a red dress today and I've got red lipstick on. I bring that up first because it's my power colour, so hopefully it'll make me feel a bit more confident today. I've got brown skin and I've got long dark hair with some light highlights in it because I like to always pretend that I've just come back from holiday. And I'm wearing some black heels today because I'm 5'2.5". The half really matters. And that's me. And I'm here to talk a little bit around the work that I do at Diversity Alliance and why it's important to me. And I would say it's mainly because I have this vision, and I think I've had this vision for a long time, and perhaps I kind of touched on it a little bit when I was talking about my previous career. But my vision essentially is to live in a world where everybody belongs. And by that, I mean everybody has the opportunity to participate in life in the way that they want to, that they have all the opportunities to be able to do that, and that they're given the tools and resources to live the life that they want to lead. It seems really obvious, and I'm sure nearly everyone in this room would want that for everyone else too, but the world isn't like that, unfortunately. And we're trying our best to do better, but I feel like we can do even more. And I guess my mission is how I can contribute to that. And what I came to realise as I kind of was in the events industry and delivering events was this huge impact that events can actually have, because everybody attends an event of some kind, whether it's team building, a conference, an exhibition, Christmas party, staff away, team away days, weddings. We all attend events. And that means we all have connections with these communities of people on these occasions. And then that gives us an opportunity to influence, to educate, to inspire, to galvanise so many people. And I was thinking, why aren't we doing more of that in our events? We are very strategic, definitely, and there's always an objective of some kind, but also can't our objective be about creating human connection? And so I thought, right, this vision, this big lofty vision that I had for everyone to feel like they can belong in the world and have an equal experience, how can I bring that to something that might feel a bit more realistic? And the way I guess that I thought I could do that was through the power of events. And that is why I launched Diversity Alliance. Now, what if the word welcome meant the same thing to everybody? Because currently it doesn't mean the same thing to everybody. And not to kind of bring us down, but I think it's important to kind of think about maybe a time when we haven't felt welcome. I'm sure we've all experienced a moment like that. Could have been in a social setting, a work setting, a community setting. And I just invite you to think about that for a moment. How did that make you feel at the time? If you can think about that scenario, or even imagine what that could be like. Perhaps feeling isolated or a little bit stressed, lonely, maybe angry, frustrated. All those things can happen if we feel unwelcome. And if we can just imagine as well that some people experience that on a day-to-day basis, that's just part of their daily lives. It's not because we're being horrible or bad humans, but because we're not truly thinking about how we can be inclusive and accessible. Sometimes that is people's experience. But then on the flip side, if we think about times where we feel truly welcome, how does that make us feel? It can make us feel that sense of belonging, happy, excited, confident, part of something, engaged. And I think most of us would want that for each other and also for ourselves. So that's like why I like to bring up what I mean by welcoming and being truly welcoming, because it can have such a big impact if we don't feel like we belong in a certain setting. Now, I'm going to invite you to imagine, picture. You can imagine in your mind's eye, you can close your eyes if you feel more comfortable, whatever works for you. But imagine or picture that you've been invited to deliver a keynote at an event. And you're really excited about delivering this keynote. You have been really researching your topic a little bit more, and you have come up with some great content and ideas. You've designed your presentation, you've practiced, you're really, really excited to be delivering at this event. And the event organisers assured you that everything is in place for you with regards to accommodations, making sure you have everything you need to be able to deliver your keynote successfully. So you're very confident and they're very excited. And then you get to the venue and you come to your stage area and suddenly you realise there's no way for you to get on stage. There wasn't a ramp put on the stage for you to be able to get up on stage because you're a wheelchair user. Everyone's like, well, that shouldn't matter too much, it's fine. But actually, this has actually happened to a colleague, which is why I'm telling this story, and they invited a speaker to come and speak, and she was in a wheelchair, and she wasn't able to get on stage, so she came and delivered her talk on the floor, which again, you might feel like doesn't matter. But for her, it felt like she wasn't able to see and engage with everyone. I can see some of you leaning this way because you can't see me properly either, can you? And that's what was happening. And it made her lose a little bit of confidence in like her delivery and what she was doing. And it just made the experience not as nice for her and also not as nice for everybody else in the room too. And it just shows that something so what we might consider simple and small can have such a big impact, not just on the person experiencing it, but all of us in the room as well, as you might feel bad for the speaker or frustrated that you can't see them. And there are things that we could have done or that the venue could have done or the organisers could have done to stop that. And most of the time it's just communication. It's just sharing what we need and then trying to facilitate that in the best way possible. And actually I was part of, I consulted on a project and it was an inclusive event design kind of guidebook for corporate event planners. And they worked with a lot of people with lived experience to find out what their challenges were, what were important to them, what their needs were. And a couple of the comments, there was one comment which said, really honestly, I just want to feel like I belong and that I'm not different or special. I just want to feel like I'm here doing the same things as everybody else in the same way as everybody else. I don't want special treatment. And others said, I just want to feel connected and like part of a community. And that really, really stuck with me. And we've got some of those kind of like statistics up there, and I don't always think statistics are super helpful, but they're there because I think sometimes we need to sometimes realise the scale of things. So touching on inclusion and accessibility, and we're going to be talking a lot about inclusion and accessibility today, but I really want to make sure we don't forget about representation in this conversation as well. We've sometimes focused a lot on physical or digital accessibility, but also we want to be thinking about cultural diversity and other identities as well, whether we're thinking about gender, age, all those things. And representation is so important, particularly when we're trying to attract people to our events and our experiences. People who see themselves in the marketing, in the communications, on the website, on the agenda are much more likely to come and attend our events. So this is incredibly important too. And also, another aspect that's really important, I think this event has done this well as well, is that if we're considering inclusion and accessibility, then why aren't we talking about it? If we're having translation and captions, if we have sign language interpreters, if the venue is fully accessible, we should be sharing that because that's what our attendees are going to be looking for. They're going to be looking for the information before deciding if they're going to attend our event or not. So why are we not communicating it? So it's really important as well to communicate all the wonderful things that you're doing, but also not be afraid of the things that can't be achieved. Most of the time, in my experience, as long as we say what isn't in place, but we try and offer some alternatives or say that we're here to support with solutions, that is something. But shying away from saying anything at all because you feel like you're not doing everything is not the way to go, in my experience. So I always have to like pop in the case for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Sometimes still people think, that what is the point of it really, and why is it so important? How is it really that beneficial other than just kind of being nice to people? But there are benefits, and I'm not going to read them all out. You can see them here around increased profitability within businesses, attracting the right talent to our organisations, which is also really important, because if we have diverse talent and people feel included in the culture, in the workplace, we're going to also create all these amazing, wonderful, innovative ideas too. And then we can reach a broader audience because people within our communities, we just understand how to connect with them a little bit more, and then we can bring everybody else in on that journey too. Researchers also show we innovate more when we have diverse perspectives and voices in the decision-making process, which obviously then improves the decision-making process too. And we've got some event-specific impact here. What I would like to say though is that diversity, equity and inclusion isn't about being charitable. It's not we're being nice. It's really, and it's not we're being woke. It actually is also, as well as being good human beings, it is very good for business. And here are some more kind of event statistics up here. I'll let you have a bit of a look at them. But at the end of the day, thinking about and incorporating diversity, equity and inclusion within your events increases everything from engagement, attendance, satisfaction, positive feedback, positive sentiment, positive feelings about your event, and creating loyalty around your brand and company too. So why does inclusivity matter for everyone? Really, it's about community, connection, engagement, and feeling like we're connected to each other. Because when we feel connected, we collaborate better and we all have better experiences. It's about understanding each other's cultural needs and respecting cultural diversity and acting as a catalyst towards creating cultural change. We all have the ability to impact a colleague, an attendee or a delegate, our local community, society, and then hopefully the rest of the world too. But we do still experience some barriers to belonging. So some of the key ones here around physical and digital barriers, I think we're becoming more aware of those, but we definitely want to make sure that we are thinking about and considering that journey from as soon as somebody looks like they want to attend our event, is looking on our website, to the moment they attend our event, all the way to when they leave our event. What can we do to make sure the spaces, digital and physical, are accessible? Are we communicating well with our attendees? Do we have translation? Do we have interpreters? Are we using inclusive language? Do we know how to speak in inclusive ways and use inclusive language towards each other? And another area we forget about a lot in our kind of privileged Western world is really those social, economic and cultural barriers too. So sometimes we need to be a little bit more flexible when it comes to providing support from people from different socio-economic backgrounds, to give them the tools as well to come and attend our events and experiences. So what if every event and experience prioritised everybody's voice? I wonder what would happen. I don't think anything negative would happen. I think it would be really positive for all of us. It will create experiences that are more enjoyable to work on, to be part of, and also to deliver. So what's really exciting is today you're going to get to experience lots of activities, workshops, experiences to kind of upskill, build your knowledge, to take back to your organisations, and implement, which is really exciting. And the agenda is really exciting. The speakers that you have who are delivering things today are super knowledgeable, super inspiring, super engaging. So make sure you make the most of this experience, networking with each other, networking with your peers and sharing information and ideas with your peers, as well as absorbing all the information. But in my experience, here are some of the key actions that we want to look at when we're creating truly inclusive events. And that is about diverse representation in planning. Sometimes our organisations aren't necessarily as diverse as we think, but I always like to challenge on that, because diversity isn't just a physical representation. We all have different experiences and identities. And sometimes we don't even know what our colleagues' backgrounds and identities are. But also, it is a good idea, if we feel like we're lacking diversity in our organisations, to bring in steering groups or committees or experts who can have lived experience, who can support us with this. We want to look at our inclusive practices in the workforce, but also within our live event delivery. Look at how we're accommodating diverse needs and preferences. I like to think of the journey, the delegate, attendee or visitor journey, and every touch point on that journey, and think about, could this exclude someone? Could this be inaccessible to somebody? And look at it from that perspective, and use inclusive design processes too. I won't go into it too much now. A lot of you might already know about universal design. Definitely something to look into, because it really helps with that creative design process, or even the physical space design process as well. And measure DEI, we need to start measuring it because at the moment we don't really understand the benefits of it because we haven't got a benchmark and we're not measuring whether it actually matters to people. We need to ask the questions, get the feedback, quantitative and qualitative, and set those goals around DEI so we can see how well we're doing. And I feel like when we're smashing goals, we're so much more motivated and it will become so much more exciting. And ultimately, key all the time, no matter what, just try and foster that sense of belonging. So I'd love for you to imagine a world where everyone truly belongs. And actually, no, don't imagine it. I want you to help create it. Think about stages that are representative and accessible. Think about how we can reflect diversity through language and culture, how we can respect and celebrate different cultures and backgrounds. We can do this. It's not really that hard. We're creative, problem solving, intelligent individuals. It just means putting a slightly different cap on. So that's what I invite you to do, the action I invite you to take. And then just as I finish, if you are looking, it's great me standing up here saying, well, let's do this and let's do that. But if you are looking for some additional resources, there is an inclusive event design community that is launching very soon. You can scan. So scan there if you want to, I'll get out of the way, if you want to join the waitlist for the community. It's going to be a peer-to-peer learning platform. There's going to be training and resources too, so do join that. But then also connect with me. All my bits and bobs are up there. I'm always loving people connect with me on LinkedIn, share ideas, ask questions. So let's really build this inclusive, belonging, design, event community. And that's all from me. Thank you.